Hi guys, good evening to you. Good evening from here in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. It's 5 p.m. Actually, it's 1 minute past 5. I'm here to see you guys. I see some people are already live with me. Some people are live on YouTube, and some others are live on LinkedIn. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Emmanuel. I see you. How are you too? I am well. My week has been hectic as usual, but yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. How are you too? How you guys? I'd like to hear how you are doing, how your week has been going. Are you glad it's Friday? Has the week been stressful? I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to hear from you. What's up? How is design? How has design been going? How has UX been going? How has research been going? Emmanuel says it's 1 minute past 12 here. 12 in the midnight or 12 in the afternoon. I'd like to hear. And are you joining us from what country? That's obviously Nigeria. Oh, doing good. Week went by quick for me. Thank you, Emmanuel. I'd like to hear where you're joining from. That's from YouTube. Hey Tochi, I see you guys. Tochi says, yes, oh, Friday is now a favorite day due to your classes. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, I'd like to hear from the rest of you guys. How's design been? I'd like to hear how's design been? What challenges have you been having? Just me, just me. I'd like to hear what challenges you've been having, what or if you're not having challenges, what has been fun for you? What has been fun for you? What has been challenging for you? What would you like me to what would you like me to address? Last week, while I'm waiting to hear from you guys, last week we reviewed people's you guys research plans. I looked at you guys' research plans and reviewed it, gave some feedback. There were some people who were not able to review. However, I believe everybody learned from it. If you were not able to join live, the replay is on the YouTube channel. You can just go ahead and watch it. Um, it would be great if you follow us on Instagram, right, at Command Design Africa and YouTube so that you can get to know when new videos are out. Emmanuel from Caribbean. Awesome. Wow. All right. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I also last week I promised that we're going to have a session today with her name is Lade, with Lade, a UX research expert. However, she had some a very important thing, urgent stuff that came up today, and unfortunately, she's not able to join. She said she would have been able to join if we moved it 1 hour backward, but I didn't want to affect you guys' schedule. So I just felt let us move it to next time. And then today we can just ask me anything. If you're a junior designer or you're just beginning whatever and you have a portfolio that you like me to look at and review it and critique it, or you want me to even look at your CV, maybe you've been sending out your CV and portfolio for interviews, you've not been getting feedback or you've been getting negative feedback, and you want me to look at something maybe to spot out what could be causing it. Basically, ask me anything. It could be about design, it could be about tech in general, it could be about software development, it could be about moving from one career to the other. Basically, like I said, anything. So today I'll be taking you guys questions, and I think it's been interesting to hear what you guys have in mind. And while I am also waiting for you guys, I'm still waiting for you guys to drop in um, your requests or your questions. There are some that I've gotten in the past, and let me just quickly address some of those. But if you have a link to your portfolio, just drop it. I'll open the link, I'll share my screen, and everybody will see it and will learn from it. If you have a link CV as well, that would be great. You can also review it. Yeah. So, some questions I've gotten in the past are about interviews, for instance, which is like what kind of questions do recruiters or would a design lead, or what kind of question should I expect for a UX design role? So, somebody asked me that question a few weeks ago, and I was able to attend to her questions. By the way, some people sent me messages on LinkedIn, and some others sent some messages, some emails with some questions, some things they would like me to answer. So if I've not answered your question by email or by LinkedIn or I don't know, whatever channel it is, please drop it here. This might be the best time because this 45 minutes is dedicated to this purpose. So I'll actually answer your question. So please fetch it out though and ask your questions now. Um, okay, so interviews. Let me see. So one question that comes to mind when we talk about like kind of questions interviewers might ask you would be, it's a popular one actually. What's your design process? What is your design process? What is your design process like? What is your design process? Let me put it on the screen. As a very popular question, what's your design process? And how I answer that question is by the book first. You answer the question by the book, and then you answer the question by experience. What that means is by the book, we have double diamond, we have user centered process, we have all these things, systems, right? So regardless of how your experience goes, you're going to be responding to you're going to be tackling anything that comes your way, one form or the other, through these processes that are already available. So yeah, so what I usually say is I follow the user centered process, which is basically for us to understand the problem first, then analyze what I define the problem, basically just listing what it is, and then but I like to tell you that when you answer a question that way using the first method, which is by the book, you shouldn't stop there because that is just dictionary definition, right? What they really want to hear from you is your experience, not for you to start listing this process to this process to this process. And I see a lot of people go ahead to just list some things that people already know, right? And that I think is an error. So don't stop there. You need to just quickly gloss over that part and then focus on the other part, which is where you now say, okay, this is how me I want to answer it. Let me try to speak. Let me try to answer it the way I, Grace, would answer that question if asked that in an interview. I would say, um, so depending on the project I'm working on, I could tackle it in different ways. And also depending on the team I'm working with and the maturity of the team, also depends on the scope of the project. So I might go ahead to I might do the full blown research, which is something that I like not to budget time for because research is something that might not take as little time as we like to budget for. After that, I'll then come back and analyze with my team. But if I'm the only one on the team, then I'll do it. It might take maybe longer, but I do it. So then the next thing I'll probably do is to probably do ideation, come up with some ideas which I'll share with the team with all with stakeholders, and from there I graduate to my UI designs. I make sure I test at the end because this is something that is usually overlooked by a lot of people, a lot of designers. So that is how I answer the question, right? I answer the question based on experience, and then I could refer to a project that I've worked on. Now, even if you are a very junior designer or you're just beginning, it could just be a problem that you spotted out, like we've been talking about how to choose a design problem in previous sessions, and I think the week before the last. So it could just be a problem you noticed, and then you want to dig in a bit on, and then you use that as your example. Make sure you try to refer to live examples, live example, something you have done or you've been a part of in whatever form or the other. That's how I'll answer that question. Before I go ahead with it, I'm already seeing some people's questions. I think I see three questions already. Please keep your questions rolling in. I see some people here. So, uh, okay. Temi-san. Temi-san says, let me bring this on the screen so everybody can see it, even on, okay, so I think this is from YouTube. Timson is asking, hi Grace. So I am trying to learn Python programming language. I think I'm following so far, but how do I translate the basic knowledge of arrays, classes, lists, etc. into the development of a mobile app? Hmm, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so let me quickly disclaimer. I do not have the answer to every single question on earth. So I will try my best to answer a lot of your questions. I have about 10 years experience, actually a bit more than 10 now, experience in tech. I started as a software developer, so I used to write codes. So some people might be wondering, why is she asking, or why is he asking a question about Python programming language to a product designer? Don't bother. I won't sink. I have some experience. Okay, so you're trying to learn Python programming language, which is great. So, Python, for those that don't know, is a programming language that developers basically use. Um, Okay, so I think what I would like to ask Timison in response to this is, in what way are you learning? Do you have is it a structured course that you're using to learn this, or is it are you just following like YouTube and stuff like that? I asked that question while I'm waiting for your response, but I asked that question because it's relevant. If you're using a particular structured course, they would most likely be relating this to the development of a mobile app. You're probably most likely going to have a project that you're going to work on, or a couple of assignments you're working on. So, basic knowledge of arrays, classes, lists, and stuff like that. That's awesome. Those are very basic, like you've said. But as basic as they are stuff that are building blocks. You can't just automatically come up with a mobile app without this knowledge. So I'm waiting for your response to that, Temison. Second question from Demison is, what's the prerequisite for someone trying to transition to cyber security? What's the prerequisite for someone trying to transition into cyber security? Okay, for those that do not know, what is cyber security? Let me fetch a dictionary meaning for that. And so Google says that cybersecurity is the application of technologies, processes, and controls to protect systems, networks, programs, devices, and data from cyber attacks. So yeah, guess that's much. Okay, so prerequisite for that. In most of tech, what's it called, subs, or most of tech fields, there's usually no prerequisite. Let me say it that way. It's not like you need to have some special mathematical knowledge or some special programming knowledge or something before you get into anything. So, speaking of prerequisite, I'll say absolutely nothing. If you find a very very basic course, and I would recommend that you start from YouTube. There are some pretty great resources that you can find out here. I can find out here specific to cyber security. So I think I'll fetch one that I have seen in the past and share it shortly. So there's so many actually, but if somebody wants to learn like the basic, like you have no idea, just want to know, is this something that I want to do? This particular video that I just dropped on the screen. Oh, okay. So the link is not very interesting. You might need to screenshot this and then later on maybe type it or something. Or if you could click on the link or some from the chat box. Anyway, so that's something that I would that's a particular video. It's a very short video. I think it's less than 10 minutes if I remember. If I remember. So I think that's something you can use. Emmanuel is asking a question. Emmanuel, what is it like being a PD, that's a product designer, I guess, at a B2B organization? How have you been able to navigate that, especially in this industry, open finance? As I imagine, there is less interaction with end users. Wow, that's a deep question. Emmanuel, I remember you. I remember you from LinkedIn. You're the one that bombarded me with like questions. And at the end of all the questions, we're like, I hope that's not too much. And I was like, hell yeah. That was a lot of questions. Okay, so how is it like being a product designer at a B2B organization? So let me give a backstory to that. I I work with Okra right now. Okra is a company that is the industry called open finance, basically fintech that is financial technology, and so B2B, for those that do not know, means business to business. It's a type of organization, a type of company that they are a business and their primary customers or primary users are businesses as well. So Okra being a business linking to businesses like loaning companies like Rain Money, like companies like Jumia and all those kind of things. Um, so question now is how be able to navigate that, especially in this industry, as there will be less interaction with end users. Yes, you are right, Emmanuel. There's some level of little interaction with end users in that sense because our primary targets are businesses. Um, how I've been able to navigate that is still it's just by doing my job, really, doing my job. So now using my company as an example, there's a part of my company's clientele that is majorly corporates, that is businesses. Meanwhile, there's a part that is end users, like like individuals. I mean individuals as well. So what that means is that I tend to have more meetings with corporate clients, but at the same time, we actually still have meetings with individuals, especially when we want to get perspectives on certain things. It depends on what we are trying to do. For instance, there's a project we've been working on, which is like our website. Our website is really good, but we're trying to upgrade it. So that, for instance, is something that we even need to still talk to. We still have to carry out research with regular individuals, which we did. Depends on the particular product we have because Okra has a lot of products, on even as an open finance company. I'll explain what open finance is in a moment. For those that don't know what that means, it's a bit of a new thing to us here in Africa, Nigeria. So basically, it depends on the project. It depends on what we're trying to do. So I don't know if I would say there is less interaction with the end users. It depends on who the end user is. So, hi Sophia, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Emmanuel. If I haven't, please ask a follow-up question. Okay, I have another question. James, how do you improve the UX of a project? How do you improve the UX of a project? Okay, so that's a bit of a broad question. That's a bit broad. So I would say that UX again means user experience. Okay, before I go on, I actually said I was going to explain what open finance is. That's from Emmanuel's question. I just remembered. Open finance is basically where you make the financial data of individuals, of people available to other companies. Let me give you a simple example. Rent Money is a company that loans money, that gives out money to individuals. For instance, I need money for my rent. My rent is due and I need some quick cash. I'm a salary earner, so I need some quick cash. So I would reach out to Rent Money to borrow me money. Now, how will Rent Money know that I'm credit worthy? How will Rent Money know that I'm someone that will pay back, and how would they know the maximum amount of money to lend me? So that's where Okra comes in. So that is the concept behind open finance, means making the financial data of individuals open to people, open to businesses. I mean, open to businesses that need that data. So that's what that is in a nutshell. Okay, so back to James' question. So I'm saying, how do you improve the UX of a project? It's a bit broad. That's a bit of a broad question. UX is a whole lot of processes like we've been talking about for weeks now. um, UX involves research. It depends on what exactly is off about the project. So, like I mentioned, if you're working, if you need to redo say a website, you won't just say want to redo the website. Something must be off with it. So, how do you improve the UX of that product or that project, which is like the website project? Is to first know what is wrong with it, right? So, how do you find out what's wrong with it? There are two ways you can know what's wrong with it. Research, but two ways of getting that data. Number one is by actually researching people. I mean, talking to people, that is through focus groups or interviews or surveys or whatever form of it. The second one is through data. So there might already be data. If on that website you've integrated, say, Google Analytics that already tells you the kind of traffic that's coming to your website, or you've integrated some form of usability testing tool, like maybe Look Back or Hotjar. There's so many usability testing tools. Then you can watch the data and see where people are dropping off in the process. Big companies, e-commerce especially, use this many of these usability testing tools a lot because they are directly their KPIs are directly linked to it. How much drops in or how much people drop off in the process. So you can use that to know what's off. So that's the very first step I would say in improving the UX of a project. But again, it depends on the project, it depends on what you're trying to find out. You could also be doing, maybe you want to just test the difference between maybe using green for a button versus using blue for a button, maybe doing split test. It really depends on what you're trying to improve and why. Okay, Ademola, serious, serious question. How do you stay fresh and smart after so many years? I'm recently married in the tech space. How do you stay fresh and smart? I don't know. How do I stay fresh and smart? I think number one, having a supportive spouse. Referring to marriage, I think having a supportive spouse, I'll say I'm lucky. Yeah. Um, I don't know how to answer that question, but basically, I think this question is similar to something that people ask me a lot, which is like, how are you able to balance? Are you able to balance work with family? You just got married, having a child, um, with studies and with teaching people and blah blah blah. And I usually respond to that by saying I don't balance anything. Like nothing is ever balanced. I just take it one day at a time. I take it one step at a time. I recently am trying to manage my time better. To be honest, that's something that I have been failing on a lot in the past. Time management, and I would say I've been doing pretty well this year. So I think what I try to do is sleep when I need to sleep, wake when I need to wake, relax when I need to relax. What that basically means is like I try to have a to-do list for the whole week. That helps you to stay organized, which is like the smart part of this question. It helps you to stay like organized for the week. I try to just quickly do a list like Sunday nights. I do it. I do it almost every week now, the whole of this year. And I'll just be taking stuff up. I know that during the week some things would come up that I didn't plan for. I'll just add them to the bottom of the list or I'll move it up the list. Depends on the priority. I just attend to things that they come, and I sometimes some things I did not plan for comes up, especially having a small child, falling sick and stuff like that. But again, one day at a time. One day at a time. Thank you, Ademola, for that question. Okay, James, do you get your UX inspiration anywhere or do you just think and then design? Ha. Well, I like that question. UX inspiration is something that is usually a bit lacking sometimes, to be honest. Um, Now, UX inspiration, it depends. So, again, UX is huge. Most of the time, where I usually need inspiration is when I get to the ideation phase of the UX process. That's after I've done my research. Then I want to start thinking of ideas from ideation phase to maybe UI, to maybe UI design a lot. So that's where I usually get need that inspiration. As for research, there's not much of an inspiration I need there because it's to talk to people. Um, However, when it comes to things like drawing out user flows, sometimes while drawing out the user flows, you might just get stuck like, okay, what's going on here? Because that's a thinking part of the work. Sometimes I'll just leave my work and just go away. Like I'll probably just go and do something, maybe go and sleep or go and watch a movie or I don't know, anything really, right? So that's what I do for user flows part. Then maybe for UI design, yes, I get UI inspiration um, from sites like say Behance, Dribble. It depends on what I'm trying to find. So it's a balance of both of them, getting from somewhere and also think and then design because I try to sketch a lot. So if I have something I'm trying to design, I'll try to sketch it out like what ideas do I have in my head? I just get it out first. I am not usually I'm not usually expecting beauty at that time. So it's just get it out. When you get it out, then you can start looking for some beauty, say on some website. Let me show you guys. For those that are wondering where I what I said, Behance.net is one site. It's Behance. I meant Behance.net. Then there is Dribble. Dribble is I think it's dribble.com if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's dribble.com. DIBBLE.com. Then so those are two sites that you can get some inspiration from. Other places are like collectui.com. So it depends on the kind of inspiration you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for color inspiration. If you're looking for color inspiration, somewhere you could go to is Instagram, surprisingly. You go to Instagram and you find this particular what's it called? BBC Earth. It's actually BBC Earth. It's actually a handle. Let me see if I can find it and just show you guys something pretty interesting. Since I found out this, been easier to get inspiration. You guys will be shocked. I'm actually still going to show you guys this when we get to UI design. But let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, so this is my Instagram handle. I believe you guys can see my screen. So BBC Earth, BBC Earth, yeah. So if I'm looking for color inspiration, I'll click on an animal like this one. Okay, this is a video. I want to look for a picture. I want just a picture, not okay. Let's say this one. So this is an animal and it has whatever. I'll just get this picture, move it to a tool like maybe Figma that I can pick out the colors, or I'll get this picture. You can easily get the picture by just you can just screenshot if you need to. You can screenshot it, download it to your system or something. Go to a site like color.adobe.com. Basically, a tool that you can extract colors from images. There are several of them online, so many actually. I want to show you guys this one, which is Adobe's own. That's color.adobe.com, and then you just upload, extract him. You click on extract him. You can drag and drop the image here. When you get your image, let's say this was the image. This is a picture of myself, but let's say it was the picture of that animal. You get some pretty awesome picture colors from it, and those are usually colors that fit. They are usually colors that fit. So BBC Earth is somewhere I get a lot of inspiration from, and if you look at it, so basically nature. Yeah, I think I've answered that question. Let's see. More questions. Wow, there are more questions here. Let's see. Emmanuel is laughing. Yeah, I'm sure he's laughing at Ademola's question. By the way, Ademola is my husband. Yeah. Okay. Temisan. Yes, I'm learning through online platform called W3 Schools. Yeah. Temisan is a she. All right, she. Yes, W3 School is a very good platform. I actually started learning programming through W3 Schools. So it's good. I would recommend that on the other end, find a small project that you can link it to, or on the other hand, find a YouTube video or a maybe an unpaid course, something that you can just that will have a project or a product that you can just be practicing with. Something to practice with. But I would recommend that if you're just at the very beginning stages, you can stick to W3 school. W3 school is really good. I started learning with that. It was good. And that's like 8 years ago. Is programming a prerequisite for cybersecurity? I cannot say I know the answer to that, to be honest. I'm not a cybersecurity expert, but I do not think so. Cybersecurity is huge, just like the way software development is huge. So there are different parts to it. There are people that are just that are archives, and that is also a part of that. So I cannot give you a straight answer right now. However, if you need a follow up for this, if you're really serious about the cybersecurity, please send me an email and I'll try to find someone within my network. Nice. That will be able to give you a good answer, or I'll find something for you. So please send me an email about this. Okay. And if you're also interested in the answer to this, you can go ahead and send an email and say, oh, I'd like to hear about the cybersecurity thing. Okay. James, with reference to to-do list, which tool do you use to manage your to-dos? See, honestly, anything, anything. It's just to write it down. There was a time I was very particular about tools to use. I was using Evernote one time, and I was using Google Keep, then I was using Apple's what they call that, I can't remember their notes. I think notes, it's called notes. I've used several tools, but it's not really about the tool for me. It's basically to just write it down. I've decided to stop focusing too much on that because that was something that I was struggling to keep all my notes and everything in one place. But I realized that my to dos usually expire at the end of the week, so I don't really need to keep track of it. Like the fact that I did it is enough track. So you can use any tool. Okay, are the tools free? All the tools I just mentioned are free. So if you have a smartphone, most likely you have the tool in it. You can simply just use Notepad. Basically, just write it. Okay, this is pretty a bit long. Let's see. Let's see. As a UI designer, if you identify lapses in an app or website and you believe you can come up with a design that can improve their performance, is it appropriate to reach out to the owners first? Not necessary. You don't need to reach out to anybody. If for instance you identify the lapse in Instagram, will you reach out to Instagram owners? Like, will you reach out to Facebook? Nope, you won't. So no, you don't need to reach out to anybody. However, if it's something that you probably need to maybe research, if it's something I want to research on, it depends on the scale of the company or of the business. You might just say, okay, you want to research the business owner. So it depends on the type of website, depends on the scale of the app, depends. It really depends, but it's not compulsory to reach out to anyone. Depends on what you're trying to do. After you've created a solution, if it's a pretty good solution, you can reach out to them and tell them to pay for it. Right. Okay, next one. Lillian, what's the best way to carry out a design sprint with a team remotely? Hmm. That's a deep question, to be honest. I can see Emmanuel is trying to answer the question. It's a bit of a deep question. I say that because um, okay, so I've actually been working remotely for a few years now, like 100% remotely, not compulsory to come to work. Um, Design sprint is something that many companies wish they practice, but they don't really practice. To be honest, design sprint is something that requires a level of discipline and maturity of a team. So the best way to carry out design sprint is to first try to scope out the requirements to the barest minimum. Try to not have bogus requirements, so to say, like to try to bring it down to the smallest feature we can work on. That's usually what makes design sprints to fail. And design sprints, for those that don't know, is basically a set time, usually maybe 5 days, usually a week or 2 weeks, that people usually that a team will usually say, okay, this is the period of time I want to spend on releasing this feature, on designing this feature, the design part, before they move it over to developer. So that's what design sprint is. So what's the best way to carry out one? Like I said, the first day, try to strip it down to the smallest features, and this is something that would take the whole team coming together to agree, especially the stakeholders. They usually have a lot of things they want to release at once, but they have to prioritize, and that's mainly the job of the product manager on a team, for a team that has a product manager. So after they try to scope it or prioritize and choose the feature they want to work on, then you could go ahead to um, choose the amount of time. When you have brought it down, you can say, okay, maybe 5 days is going to take us. Is what it's going to take us to do this. But usually, the 5 days not usually including research, right? Research is something you can box into an amount of small time like that, right? Because you might start researching and you might need to do some more research and maybe some more research. So most of the time, design sprint is something that is done after the feature as is clear, when the problem has been clearly stated and they're sure of what they're trying to do. So I hope that's been able to answer the question. Emmanuel says, I think preparation is key and carrying out an initial survey with the stakeholders in order to guide the sprint. Yeah, basically from the stakeholders point of view, what exactly are you guys trying to, what are the features we're trying to push out, what's the most important thing, you have to know first. Okay. Lillian is also asking that how do you show your strength as a UX designer in your portfolio? How do you show your strength as UX designer? I would say you show your strengths by choosing your strengths. What I mean by that is many times when many times when we see portfolios, I've been privileged to be on a team where I was part of the interviewers for people. So many times when I see stuff, the first thing I usually just look at, I usually ask myself is like, who is this person? Like who? I mean, UX is huge. What exactly is your strength? And so when you need to know exactly what your strength is first. So if you're someone that is really good at research, it means you will own in on that. Not that you will not show the other parts of the project if the project involved other parts, but you will own in on it. You would show that strength. And so if UI design is your core, then you should be someone that understands prototyping very well. Your design should not be unprototyped. Like you have to link the screens. Why would you present a design that is not prototyped, right? So yeah, so you first have to know your strength and then show it. If you have your portfolio here, I don't mind looking at it for you, Lillian. If you have something that you like me to look at, that would be great. Anyone, if anybody has something they want me to look at, feel free to drop it. Feel free. For those who are just joining, we are just basically asking questions and answering questions. And I have one last question. And yeah, okay. Let's see. This is from Muk- Mukhtar Mohammed. Hi Grace. I just got started in UX design. The one thing I find most challenging is crafting an effective case study. Is there any helpful tips you can share on writing good UX case studies? It's similar to some things I've already said. The first thing is you need to streamline it. Okay, so you can't say you're trying to solve, let me think of something that's pretty broad. You can't just say I'm trying to solve the problem of shopping problem, the problem of shopping, right? Shopping, for instance, is a huge problem. Are you solving problem for online shopping? Are you solving it for face-to-face shopping? Are you is your case study about what part of even the online shopping? Are you trying to build an e-commerce? Why are you building an e-commerce? Is this not something that exists already? Are you trying to do something different? Or are you trying to solve a particular problem that you found in other e-commerce? If yes, then you spot if yes, then you have to specifically list out what the problems you found out are, and what is motivating you. So a case study is a story. A case study is a story basically. It's telling a story from the beginning of the project, like the very inception of it, where the idea came from. What is the problem? What's the frustration? What's the pain point you're trying to solve? To the end of it, which is delivering it to the end users. That is, if it's a product that reach the end users. So basically, from beginning to the end, that's what a case study is. So how do you craft a case study? It's not that difficult. I'll share some case studies that I have seen. An average case study or a standard case study would have certain elements, and one of the elements of a case study is the background, or what we call the problem statement, problem definition. So you must have the background, which is you telling what is motivating the project. For those that do not know, a case study is basically an item in your portfolio. Is that it's like in your portfolio, that's something that you send to employer is going to have several case studies. So you could have like two or three case studies in your portfolio um, that you send to, say, a potential employer. So that's what a case study is. And so how you craft one is, it depends on what you're trying to solve. Like I said, so be specific, very important. Be very specific. Have those important elements in your case study. One of which, like I said, is the problem statement, or some people call it the challenge. Then you need to say, okay, what exactly were you trying to achieve? What was your role on this project? That's another important thing that must be in your case study. What was your role? Let me share my screen to show you guys this one I'm looking at. I just went to behance.net and I got a lot of case studies. So if you're looking for how case studies should look like, go to behance.net, just type case studies UX, or if you want something in a specific industry, you can say travel, I don't know. Yeah, I just said travel, and then this came out. So there are several case studies that people have put out there. Not every one of them has been crafted right, but you see the basic elements, like what the background is, that is what the app is about. I don't like this one, to be honest. Okay. Travel app is a platform where travelers, I don't like this, and the reason I don't like this is something I've said in previous classes, where I said your project overview or your background or your problem statement should be about the problem, not about the solution. But this particular person has created their case study from the view of solutions, saying it is a platform where travelers blah blah blah. Meanwhile, it should be what the problem is. Oh, you spotted out this problem. You're trying to understand this pain point, maybe payments, maybe booking tickets, maybe something. So it should be the problem. But basically, you can just check out a couple of UX case studies. Another way is to just Google best. You can just type best UX case studies on Google, or best UX portfolio, to see different people's portfolios. That's how I usually sometimes get some of these things. Okay, I believe I've been able to help on that. Well said. Emmanuel says, well said. Thank you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel is to say something. He says, back again, ways you have found to help to have helped you understand and navigate the industry, that open finance, to set yourself up for success. How have I been able to understand and navigate this industry? That's the industry where my company Okra is, and set myself for success. Okay, so what I do anytime I join an organization is to study. I mean, to calm down. Most of the time, when people join a company, they are more about, they're usually in a rush to impress. But I'm not usually in a rush to impress. I'm usually in a rush to understand the climate, like what's going on here. What is the problem? What's the problem? What's that thing? It could be a problem in the process. What's that thing that is really bothering this company or bothering my team? It depends on how you want to look at it. So that's usually how that's usually how I go about things when I join a new company. So the first thing is, what's going on here? What are the challenges? Then when I notice the challenges, what's the one that I can solve? What's the thing I can be a part of? Um so that's how I usually go about things. I try to I try to find where I would fit, not in a self-serving way, but in a way that I can show my strengths. So that's basically that's what I have been doing. I'm still relatively new in my new company. I'm less than 6 months here, about 3 months, I think. So I'm still relatively new here, but that's what I have done, and that's what I'm still doing here. Um, First, also, if you join a company that is that's in an industry that you do not understand, what you need to do is do your homework to understand it. For instance, when I joined Okra, I had never worked in a fintech. I had never even heard of open finance until Okra reached out to me. I never heard about open finance. So I did my homework. So when a company wants to hire you, they are not necessarily hiring you because you've worked in their industry or something. They're hiring you because you understand the concept, you can deliver regardless of the industry you're into. For instance, they could decide to shift what they are doing at any time, right? I don't know if I've answered your question, Emmanuel, but I've tried to. Okay, I have another question here, and this one is from. Oh, okay. I don't have a name here. It's just a question. Okay, from YouTube. Hi, if I am a complete total beginner, what platforms do I use to learn? Do I register for bootcamps? And what is the average time it will take to learn enough to get a job? Ha! I'm happy you asked this question. I don't know what your name is, but I'm really glad you asked this question because this is a very big deal. Oh. So let me tell you why this is a very important question. It's very important because this is something that a lot of people get annoyed about when after they've gone through a particular program and at the end of it they're not able to do things that that program told them to be able to do. For one, many of these programs would promise you a job, which does not usually happen for a lot of the people that attend the program. So speaking of boot camps is something I used to recommend to people to attend if you've done your own work on the boot camp. However, of recent, I've come to a newer understanding, right? A newer understanding that boot camps might not be the best ones, might not be the best thing for you. The reason is because many boot camps overpromise and really, 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 really underdeliver. And what that means is that as a beginner, you go through a course, you go through a particular program, you've paid for it, you go through it. They've promised that at the end of 3 months, you're going to be a UX designer and you'll be ready for a job. But in the honest truth of it is that you cannot be a UX designer in 3 months, right? You cannot be. That's just the brutal truth, and I'm not here to deceive anybody. So I'll just tell you there, you cannot be a UX designer in 3 months. Any program that is promising you that is only interested in your money. Full stop. What you can be in 3 months is you can have the knowledge, you can have basic knowledge, but having the knowledge of how to drive and actually driving they're not the same thing. By the way, I'm actually just perfecting my knowledge of driving, but before that, anytime I sit beside somebody that is driving or I'm in the car with somebody that is driving, I would feel like, yeah, I know it's not to turn to the right and turn to the left. Oh yeah, of course, that's the brake, that's the accelerator. Oh yes, this is the gear and stuff like that. So having those knowledge of a car in comparison to having knowledge of UX design or UX design processes, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing as you actually knowing how to deliver on the project. It's not the same thing. You can only know these things by practice. You can only be a UX designer by practice, and there's so much you can practice within 3 months. Except if, of course, all you're doing is you're waking up in the morning, you're going out, somebody's preparing your food for you, you eat the food, and you're practicing back to back, back to back, back to back for 3 months. Yes, of course, you can be a UX designer in 3 months that way. But I'm talking about an average person. You cannot actually have all of that knowledge in 3 months. An average person. I'm making a general statement now, right? Now, what would I recommend? What I would recommend is, for one, that was part of the motivation behind me starting this whole series, and this is for free. So you can go ahead to our YouTube channel. There's a whole wealth of knowledge every Friday, at least an hour. For the past 5 weeks now, we've been breaking down the whole UX design process. So if you're new here, go to the channel, go and watch the videos. If you want to be a UX designer specifically, go ahead, start watching the video, do the assignment, send in your assignment. I'll review them. You can move on to the next one. Just you can do that. That's one good resource for you. That's Command Design's YouTube page. Another page, another YouTube channel that I would recommend to you. There are two other YouTube channel. Is by this lady Debbie. Our channel is called, what's it called? Delta CX. I actually sent it by email. If you're on our mailing list, you should have received an email about that last week. I sent an email with some resources, some pages that you should follow. I sent that last week, and it's called, I think it's Delta Six. Just check out DLTACX on YouTube. Really great resources. Again, she does her stuff for free, and she's a veteran when it comes to UX design. I mean, veteran like 20 years veteran. So she's even my senior. So there's a lot of wealth of, she brings a lot of experts in UX on her show. I think 2 to 3 times per week she has some sessions, or she has some videos that you can watch, but not as per giving you the granular basic knowledge like the way I've been doing it. Not in that sense, but more from an holistic point of view. So if you're following her, following me, you might get what you need. Also, I think it's called, oh, what's it called? Norman. Norman. Is it Norman? Oh, I'm trying to remember. Basically, if you have received my email last week, you see it. If you didn't receive the email last week, send an email to commanddesign.africa@gmail.com. So if you're not on our mailing list, then okay, no, this is what you will do if you're not on our mailing list. Please fill this form and you'll be added to the mailing list. Fill this form, bit.ly bit.ly/design with Grace Adiade. So if you fill that form, you'll be added to the mailing list and you start receiving the emails. Meanwhile, if you're already on the mailing list but you didn't get last week's on for any reason, please just send me an email at commanddesign.africa and commanddesign.africa@gmail.com, and you will, and I'll forward it to you. Okay, so the other part of that question was, what's the average time to take for you to learn enough to get a job? It depends on how much you practice. I just want to quickly answer that. Depends on how much you practice. Depends on, nobody cares whether you use 3 months or 1 month or even 1 week, or use 6 months or 6 years. Nobody cares how long you've really been on it. They only care about the quality of your portfolio, the quality of the projects that you've worked on. So that is case studies. That's what people care about. No one cares about how long you've been on it, or how you've done it, or how you've not done it. No one cares about that. So yeah. Wow. I think this has been an interesting session. I have no more questions from here. Yeah, no more questions from here. And so let me quickly do some announcements. If anyone has any last questions, please go ahead and drop it. So announcements. Okay, so firstly, I apologized already at the beginning, so let me apologize again. This today was supposed to be about UX research, having a guest on our show today to basically you guys answer your questions about UX research, and a lot of you guys sent in your questions, which have been noted. So she was unavoidably, impossibly absent today, and she wanted us to shift it a bit backward, 1 hour backward, and I thought that would mess with you guys' timeline. So just said, okay, let's just make it next month. So she'll be coming again next month, and that's going to be that's something we're going to be doing every last Friday of the month. Every last Friday of the month is going to be either portfolio live review, question and answer, ask me anything, or a guest speaker talking to us about something. Basically stuff like that. So we have a bit of a lineup of speakers, I think, that we're going to be having shortly. But the core of this is not really about just getting speakers to talk to us about stuff. It's about being actionable. It's about you following what you're being taught and creating your portfolio. That's the point of this whole thing. I'm not doing it for showbiz. So the point is for you to, so if you have not watched the videos that the last weeks, go ahead and watch it. Go ahead and submit your assignment. Some people have not sent in their research plans. Some people I reviewed theirs last week have not redone theirs and resent it. The ones I didn't review, if you learned something from the ones we reviewed last week, then you should go ahead and rework yours and resend it. Also, I remember last week I told you guys that you should have your assignment was to start working on your research. That is, start talking to people based on your research plan. That was the assignment, and that is something I'm expecting to hear that you guys are done by Wednesday, because this coming Friday we're going to be circling back to research, and we're going to actually be talking about how we analyze our data. You've gathered data from your research. How do you analyze it? These are part of the things that will make its way into your case study. Your case study is what you compile into your portfolio, right? So, thank you very much for attending today's session. So I hope it's been insightful. As usual, the replay will be on our channel. If you are not following, please follow, like the video on YouTube if you like it, so that it can tell YouTube that some people like it and some other people might need it. That's just the idea behind liking it, right? So, thank you very much, guys, for attending, and see you guys next week. See you guys next week, I believe. So, yeah, I'm waiting to see your assignments. If you haven't sent in your assignments, I really, really want to see and hear from you guys. If you have more questions that we're not able to attend to today, or something that you'd like to ask privately, please send an email about it to that email, which is commanddesign.africa@gmail.com, and I'll get to it. If you've asked me a question previously and I didn't attend to it, send the email again and ask again. Basically, keep on knocking until the door is open for you. So thank you very much, guys, and see you next week. Bye.